The quest to find the best snooker shot of 2022 continues this week with the European Masters. Once again, I've picked the 12 most outstanding shots from the tournament, and I'm going to find out which one's best by recreating them as accurately as possible in the fewest possible attempts. And we're starting off with Ronnie O'Sullivan, who had a solid run to the final, helped along by impressive positional shots like this. He manages to finish in position by leaving the cue ball in a small gap between the brown and the baulk cushion from the other end of the table.
That really is class.
This one really isn't going to be easy. Not only do you have to get the pace spot on, you have to play it with quite a bit of right hand side. On my first attempt I got the pace right, but I didn't get enough right hand side on the cue ball. You can see how much of a difference this makes on my next couple of attempts when I get closer to the middle pocket and start applying a little bit more right hand side. I get dangerously close to the middle pocket on my third attempt, but just about end up in good enough position to pot the red and get on a colour. But Ronnie narrowly lost out in the final to tournament outsider Zhengyi because of shots like this. Every time he looked in trouble, he kept pulling out the big shots, which allowed him to get over the line in the end. This one was going to be particularly difficult for me because I had to pot the red without hitting the black because it might knock it safe. Somehow I managed to get it first time, which I was pretty happy with, and the crowd was impressed because they were on their feet. Bingtao is next, and he's found a ridiculous plant. This is a really good spot because a lot of players simply wouldn't have noticed this, but for me, however, it's just a test really of how well I can line the red and pink up to make the plant. I slightly overscrewed it and missed the cannon on the blue, but I was still fairly happy to get everything lined up right first time. Fraser Patrick's next, and he's hitting what I believe to be one of the best snooker escapes of the year. It took me a while to work out why he hit it so hard, and then I realised obviously he was 38 points behind, and if he didn't get it safe he would lose the frame. The majority of the time when I get a snooker like this, I can just follow the line of the professional player, and you usually end up getting fairly close. With this one, however, because you had to play it so hard, it wasn't that easy. Because of the speed, you need to hit this one perfectly, otherwise you'll end up being way off. I actually hit the side of the red a couple of times, but this wasn't what I was trying to do. I was trying to nudge it down the table, which was making it a lot harder. I really wasn't happy with this one, and even when I eventually hit it in the right direction, didn't feel I got it far enough down the table, but had to stop otherwise I'd been here all day. From this position, it doesn't look like Rickey Walden's got any sort of pot on. But he's able to play the long double and get the cue ball in a safe position that's also on the black. I find it's relatively easy to get close to these shots, but quite difficult to actually get them to go in the pocket. And my first couple of attempts proved this as I got relatively close before I started missing by about as much as I expected to. To play this right, you need to play it slowly with a lot of backspin so the red doesn't come too far back down the table. I was happy to get this after just 5 attempts, although fascinatingly Rickey missed the following black, which was frame ball. But that wasn't the only contender for cheeky double of the week, as Graeme Dott nailed this very similar looking shot, and this one was a match winner. Again, this is a similar shot to the last one. Hold the cue ball to the top cushion and try not to play it too hard. Although this shot seemed a little bit harder. The problem is you've got to get very close to the double kiss with this one, which makes it tough to play straight enough. I didn't think I had the white in the right position at one point, but I checked and the shot was just about on. But the real question is, who's going to win the side prize of cheeky double of the week? Rickey Walden was able to create a chance out of nothing, earning him 3 cheeky chilies. But Graeme Dott's shot was for the match, which means he earns 4 cheeky chilies, and he's this week's winner. Lisowski's next with a long pot that resulted in good position on the black. This is a shot we see come up quite regularly these days, as a player pots a long red and opens up the black spot. For the top players, potting the red isn't that difficult. The challenge comes in judging the cannon perfectly, and this is something I was struggling with on my first few attempts. Ideally, you just want to play this as a stun shot, but I kept unintentionally putting a small amount of right-hand side on the cue ball, which wasn't helping, which meant when I got the cannon, I ran a little bit too far to the cushion, but fortunately I was still able to pot it.
Anthony McGill is next, and he's finding this really clever way to get position on the green.
This is a good exhibition shot, and I'm really not sure how he thought of this, because for me it wouldn't have been the first thing to spring to mind. But this is another one of those shots where in theory if I've set everything up right, if I get the double, everything should work out. After overcoming a small problem of a post getting in the way, I'd realised I'd overlooked this for cheeky double of the week, so cue the dramatic music.
Although this is technically a better shot, the frame had already been won, so in terms of cheekiness, it doesn't change the result. Luca Brecel needs snookers here, but he managed to swing the cue ball around 4 cushions and get it tightly in behind the black.
This was a really decent shot for a few reasons. To start off with, the red was really close to the baulk cushion, and to get the cue ball in the right place, he needed to get very close to the green, which I discovered early on is slightly in the way if you don't quite swing the cue ball wide enough. To avoid the green, I'm using topspin and right hand side, which makes it a little bit challenging because I need a precise contact with the red to get behind the black, and that makes it a little bit difficult to do. What I've noticed with a shot like this is it's very hard to know exactly how difficult it is, because on every attempt where I've missed the green, even though I haven't got the cue ball in behind the black yet, I've got it relatively safe, and on some occasions I've actually got the snooker, which isn't too difficult. What is difficult is getting the cue ball precisely behind the black, and I kept being slightly unlucky and not quite getting the cue ball in the perfect position. On my 9th attempt I thought I played it perfectly but didn't quite play the shot hard enough, and on my 10th attempt I got the line almost spot on, but the cue ball came up next to the black. The audience by this stage was a little bit bored and decided to wander off, which was a shame because on my very next attempt I actually got the cue ball in behind the black. It wasn't quite as tight as I would have liked it, but I still got the snooker behind the right ball.
Our next shot is going to be from Maflin after we find Zlatko, who's from Tuzla in Bosnia and Herzegovina, which I said horribly wrong.
The only name I think I pronounced correctly there was Maflin's, which is a relief, and he's playing this excellent pot against Judd Trump, which virtually won him the match. I'm not exactly sure why he took this on, because potting it at speed is such a tough shot down the cushion, especially when you have to try to screw the cue ball over to the black. Because of this, I was really happy to get it after just 3 attempts, and I'm sure the audience would have appreciated it if they hadn't already left.
From this position, Wenbo manages to find a match-winning shot against Anthony McGill.
It made all the difference because it was such a good snooker at a critical time, and eventually led to Liang winning the match. And it's really tough to get the cue ball in this position because of how close you have to get to the brown. On my first couple of attempts, I wasn't even sure I put the balls in the right place, because it didn't look like I could get the cue ball close enough to the black. After this I realised you had to play it with a bit of right hand side to make the angle, and the line was just about on if you got really tight to the brown. I think this shot was a little bit harder to play than the Luca Brecel shot, but I must have got a little bit more fortunate with this one because I managed to get it on my 5th attempt, the first time I got anywhere near the black.
We've got another fan Zhengyi shot after we find John T, who's from Barrotsford in the UK. Which is there.
This was part of an impressive match-winning break against David Gilbert, and the way he manages to lift the pink off the cushion here and leave it in perfect position to play for the black is really impressive. The cannon itself isn't too difficult, but to hit the right part of the pink is really challenging. I was really pleased to get it in 2 attempts. Didn't really get the pink in the right place, but it was an easy enough shot to pot into the right pocket, and I finished on the black.
So for the results, it was close, but I'm giving 3rd place to Liang Wenbo. This was a match-winning snooker against Anthony McGill, and he played it perfectly. 2nd place goes to Maflin. Not only was this an impressive pot, it was virtually a match-winning shot against Judd Trump. But 1st place goes to Zhengyi. This impressive shot got him over the line in the final and allowed him to scrape home against Ronnie O'Sullivan 10-9.
If you want to see more recreated shots like this from bigger past tournaments, have a look at these 2 from the UK and the Masters. And remember, don't just watch, play, and make the commitment to becoming a better player by subscribing to the channel and visit the website. See you later.